It says live.
Okay, coming coming to you live from the Arctic Circle, subarctic. We're close to the Arctic Circle. Anyway, you see it's very nice outside. We're having a very, very pleasant fall. So here we
You
are.
can see that I shut my windows because it gets very hot. We don't even let any sun in. It's like, it's bright. No, close it off. We want it a cave. That is what we want here in Vegas.
What are you talking? 100 degrees every day there still?
110, I think, 105, 110, something like that. And it's just, the thing is, where I live in or a part of almost like a valley of glass and molten steel and concrete, where the Aria and all of these large, tall buildings are. So the sun beats in here, and so the Aria, which is a nice concave uh, area, just takes all the sun and plasters it right into the concrete to superheat it. And our particular condo gets incredibly hot during July or August, or predominantly August, September. I don't remember July being that bad, but so fortunately, we were on the other side of the world for most of August. We didn't have to deal with it, but now we do. And so I'm like, just keep it shut.
Yes, the horseshoe there, I can see where it funnels everything. No breeze. There's nothing to cool anything down.
But you can cook eggs on the concrete, I would suspect. I've not tried it, but I would suspect it.
Eggs, cookies, an omelet, a steak,
And
pretty much any.
Any orcs come by, they're toast, they're flambe.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, today you recommended the topic, which is?
I suggested we talk about it. And so the premise behind this was, you gave me a list of things that people were interested in. And it was a split up a little bit between the people who are still starting out, which is a large contingent of the group, and those that would like a little bit more advanced stuff. And so I said, hey, why don't we just see 5 things that we wished we could have done better, or to tell ourselves, or whatever, recommend to ourselves that we could have done better when we were young in this industry. And then 3 things we struggle with still. And I didn't have a list. I didn't make it to the list. Fortunately, I was talking to Rami this morning because I couldn't sleep, and because of jet lag. And so he also brought up a couple of things. So I have at least 3 of 8 things to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, the things that we're still challenged with. Yes, indeed. Can we talk about your zoo series that you did wide? That one?
Yeah, we can talk about it. What did we learn? Why did we learn? But that's, I guess, we'll move that half into the still learning.
Okay. So the 5 things. Give me one.
One of mine that I had issues with was finding, and this is the example I gave you, was doing my covers first, because I knew a little bit about Photoshop. So I could go out and get a $20 image that I knew I had the rights, bash it together, and get some covers. Well, what I did not know at that time, and this was true even in 2016, at that time I didn't realize that I could still go out and get inexpensive pre-made covers that might have cost me $40. And it's not like, for me at that time, 20, 40, 90 was a big deal. I just didn't know if I'd have any success. In my mind, just-in-time products, you got what you could do that you felt people would be willing and happy to buy. And that didn't mean a $500 cover for me. It just meant a cover that could get out there, that I could do it. So I would tell myself, go look for the pre-made sites and find artists, find some people. And we did all sorts of things back at that time. So, but that's what that was my number one, is like, go get a better cover.
And I went through 3 iterations of that as well. I mean, my first book I did myself just because I didn't know where to even look. Google was unresponsive, and Kboards was less than pleasant in trying to find stuff. So I did my own. Okay, yeah, we needed to change that. I bought some pre-mades, but I didn't even know what to look for, what to ask for. And this is one thing that, thanks to this group and people's constantly harping on, research your genre. Genre equals marketing. So once I dialed that in, it's like, I'm in this genre. Oh, look at these covers. Hey, these are Tom Edwards. So I reached out to Tom, and then that started the trend of getting better covers that were more aligned with the genre. And 3 years later, I'm still using those recovered versions and then the extra ones for that 9-book series. So I did the same thing.
Well, I think that I think you went at it a little bit better to some degree. My next jump was actually going to full model, because even at that time, this was For various and sundry reasons, I release in November. The new covers didn't come out until summer, so we're talking 8, 9 months. But
Yeah.
the challenge that I saw was a lot of people photo bashing, and so there are just limited amounts of models that people use from time to time, and you start seeing those models, whether they're spaceships or they're females or males or whatever, you start seeing them a lot of times. And if you have good enough artists, they'll at least change the hair color. But having said that, I had decided at the time to go full model. So you're talking $1,200 photo shoots, but then I'd get hundreds or thousands of pictures.
Yeah. Yep.
But what you and I are both saying is research. You can get solid covers for inexpensive amounts. What is that website, the image website we used to use back in 2016? Do you remember? It's still a big deal today.
Oh,
Um,
I use deposit photos now, but back then it was
you know,
no, it
it's
wasn't
like
deposit photos back then. It was
no,
and
no. Well, not even that. This is a website that has a bunch of people just putting their art up, and you can lose yourself for hours going through
oh
the site.
yes,
But
that because Tom Edwards was putting some stuff on there. Geez, I don't remember. It's
something.
something art. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure a commenter will
yeah.
save us. I mean, somebody commented
So while
Pixabay. It
you're
wasn't
looking,
that, but that was
yeah, yeah, and this is one that has all sorts of stuff. But what we used to do back then to make it inexpensive is you might lose a few hours searching, but then you'd find a cover and say, "Hey, can
yeah,
I get the rights to
yeah,
put this up on my book for 50 bucks, 25
yeah,
bucks?" And
yeah.
some of them would
Deviant
do it.
art does the
Deviant.
commenters. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, DeviantArt. And so there's a lot of opportunity. Just search. So I'd really recommend, both of us are saying the same thing, go search for what's
Yeah.
going on.
And,
I
and
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. No, no, no. You weren't done with your thought.
No, yeah, I was. I was going to go to my second.
Oh, okay. Because my first
Oh, that
actually wasn't covers. It was series. My first 4 books were in 3 different series, and once I got the series covers and the series, uh, I found traction with the series. If I had stayed with just one genre, I think I would have found traction a little earlier. It took me about 4 months to start finding traction. And I had at that point I had 7 books written, only about 3 or 4 published. But those first 4 were in 3 different genres and significantly different genres. So now, if I had picked the wrong one first, like my thriller, which I think is my best book, but it never sold very well. Even trying to give it away, it doesn't. It still doesn't sell that well, and it is reviewed well once people I can get into. I can get people into it, but that's just a targeting alignment because I don't really care. I don't spend enough time trying to market that one book. But if I had picked that one first and done the series, would I have realized the same level of success? So maybe that 4 books in the 3 different series was the right thing to do to then find the traction of let me move forward with this one. So I can't say that that necessarily was a bad thing or a good thing. It was, and I am where I am now. So something must have worked out.
true. The second thing I would look at is I do not enjoy the editing process, and that's really starting to pad that comment. So I didn't do any editors for quite a while, and the fans actually started helping me. They're like, "This is a great book, but geez, Louise, we need to help you." So that's part of what went on there. But I would have tried to find Grammarly and some of those tools a little earlier. I went through an editor that was ripping me off, and it took me 2, 3 books to realize he was crap. He was ripping me off, and I could edit better than him, and that's saying a lot. So, editors can rip you off. They don't all rip you off. There are many opportunities with editing, but I could have at least used the software a little better. And that's what happened to me once I realized the guy who was editing me was doing a horrible job. So,
Okay.
I would have gone to Grammarly, and there's a couple of others, if I'm not mistaken, softwares that are out there that can help you.
Yeah, Pro Writing Aid, and
Okay.
I tried a couple of different ones, but what they were really lacking was they tried to edit some dialogue, and that really irked me. And they didn't always have right explanations. So when I found my editor Mia, when she started editing, I could ask questions and she would get back. Here's why I did that. Here's why I left that one thing that looks exactly the same as this other thing. I changed one and I didn't change the other, or recommended changing. She said, you don't have to accept any of it if you don't want, but here's recommendations. And that approach worked really, really well with me. So my editing process was a much more pleasant affair. So I didn't have those kinds of issues because I really wanted to learn. I read a lot, but when you write, it's like a different part of your brain. Because I'd go back and I'd read, I'm like, oh my God, this a moron wrote this, and I'm not a moron. And it's getting that engaged where you're thinking to write the words in the right way, as opposed to so fixated on the idea that the words are just kind of thrown out there. That it took a while to get around that. So after a few million words, hey, it's a lot easier.
Yes. And your turn for number 2.
Oh, my turn for number 2. The 5 things. Back matter is critical, and generic leads on back matter. Because when I first started writing, I had no clue that 4 years later I would have 100 books out. So I continue to go back in and find back matter that says, hey, coming in July of 2016. Like, holy crap. Okay, yes, I want to do that. But then it becomes almost a full-time job going back and cleaning up your crap. So getting that back matter, because you went to, if you want to see something else, if you want to see the continuation of the series, please stop by lmbpn.com. So you went to that model a lot quicker than I did. I'm like, man, I really need to sell my books. Please buy book 4 in this series. And then, when book 9 is out and book 3 says, please buy book 4, it'll be out next month. I mean, I'm hurting myself when I intended to help myself.
Right.
So I do just the series names now, but still it's not, it's one of those things. If you do it and people say, hey, put your pre-order link for book 2, put your pre-order link for book 3. Yes, that's cool. But understand you must go back in after book 2 comes out. And now it's no longer a pre-order link. So don't say, hey, please buy it now or something. You need to change that language so it doesn't look like you muffed your drive, where you need to, that the book is out. And here's the series. Hey, this is a 6-book series, or like Free Trader, it's a 9-book series now. So I really do need to go back to book 1 and say, all 9 books are out. Here's the whole series. Have a nice day. And the follow-on series is X. And just leave it at that. Maybe send them to my website. So genericizing, especially if you're more productive than 1 or 2 a year. But even if you are, you still will have to go back and fix those back matter links. And I have that in my yet to do pile. So I'm thinking sometime in 2021 I might get to it.
Yeah, the back matter we did, but because of the collaborations, I got to unwieldy amounts of back matter before you did. So,
You did.
60 book, no one wants to read, because they say, if you allow people decisions, give them 2, maybe 3 max. Here's
Yeah.
60 opportunities. Yeah, it was too much. I should not have done that. But I didn't know at the time. Heck, I was proud to go, look, I've got 8 titles out here. You remember those days?
Same thing.
Remember those days back
Oh,
in the
same
beginning?
thing. Like, hey, look at these. I've got 5 different books out.
I know.
And that's not making fun of anybody who has 5, but 5 is cool unless you have 100. And then if you're telling people I have 5 books out, you're underselling yourself. You need to say I have a series, or here's me, I am a professional author. Expect books from me, and that is good enough. Now, multiple links. The data suggests that if they have to click more than 3 times, and that was what Michael was getting to with, here's 2 decisions: buy the next book, buy the series, love Michael Anderle. Click the third, you go to LMBPN, and hey, look at oh my God, it's a whole universe open up before me. So these are the approaches that you can take earlier in your career, especially if you've written your 2nd book, 3rd book, and I'm going to do this. You can save yourself some grief down the road if you genericize and lead them into a funnel that then is your world of books.
All true. I think the next one I would do would have to be with collaborations and understanding that there are a lot of people who have great aspirations with no energy behind them. There's no engine to make them run. They fantasize about accomplishment. They don't put fingers on the keyboard. Writers write. They don't make excuses. They don't do all these other things. They get words down. And if I had paid more attention to this, then perhaps I would have been the first filter question I had had when they say, I'm just not being successful. Great. How many books do you have out? Well, none. Or I put one out last year. I'm like, we'll go right. Come back to me when you have that fixed. Because
Yeah.
while it is possible, because TradPub does it, it is possible to make a living on a book a year. Probably has to be a big book. That's a
Yeah.
lot of marketing. That's a lot of it. That's a totally different thing than what we are familiar with in LMBPN.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the strategies and the tactics are going to be different in that case. But I
That's,
would, that.
well, and when you brought me on board, I had 13 books in 12 months.
Hmm.
So so you had no doubt, hey, this dude is going to write the books. This 4-book series. That's now 27 books later. Yeah, but
I undersold it. I undersold it.
can can you cover 150 years in 4 books? Come on, man.
Hey, you accepted that premise. You came back to me and said, I think this is going to take more than 4.
But I waited until after the
I've
3rd
done.
book to do that because I said, hey, we've done 3 books and I've done 3 years out of the 150. Yeah, yeah. And you're like, yeah, but they're selling fine. Do 150 books. I'm like, oh, hey, slow down,
I did
cowboy.
not say that. I did not say that. You're lying, Martelle. We might have said 12 or something, but and I'm like, it's not my fault you decided to do 100,000 words of 1 year.
Oh my God. And my lifetime book earnings, I looked at that, and book 9 is still like right in the top, I think 6 or 7. Book 9 of a series, just because it's 117,000 words, and KU consistently is $2 of KU money for every $1 of sales money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, book 9 at 120,000 words is right up there. Has been an ultra winner.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Yeah, length matters.
yes. Well, and initially when we had the conversation about length and girthiness, you said 60,000 words was our target, and I think my first one came in
70.
about
70.
well, back then it was 60. My first one came at 57, and you said that was okay. But then
Mm.
later it's like, yeah, that 10,000 words can earn X, and also. And this is something you came up with later in 2017, I believe, was everybody buys the first book as your premise of we focus all of our marketing dollars or most of our marketing dollars on book 1. And so everybody is going to buy book 1, but will they go to book 2? And that's a different issue. However, if that book 1 is 70,000 words, that 10,000 words over 60 that pays for your advertising. So that's
Yeah.
all of it works together. That 10,000 words, it pays for the advertising to get people to book 2. And then book 2, you're starting gravy. And that's, yes, much better for a longer book for book 1. As long as
Yeah.
you're not trying to milk it with stupid words. I mean, it's a subplot, something else.
I like that, with stupid words. Why don't you tell us how you really feel, Martelle?
Yeah. Skip the stuff that the readers skip.
So, all right. So my next one is professional. I had a mental issue with accepting my quote unquote professionalism. And this, I think, was around book 4 or 5. So you're really not talking very much time in my professional career, 60 days in, 70 days in, or something. So I think a lot of people now, when they read 20 books and they understand it and they see rapid release, they prepare for months to do this. I wrote and released 3 books in like 30 to 45 days. So there wasn't, I just wrote really fast. And so book 4 came out 45 days ish after book 1. And that means I wrote 2, 3, and 4 in that 45 days. So I didn't prepare them. I didn't, have them all set up and ready to go. I didn't have my email set up. In fact, I didn't even have a freaking Facebook page, I think, until the night of or the night before or something. So, back then, very much, I was listening to Kevin Tumlinson. He was very much Wild West still, very Wild West. And even though I knew what to do related to doing the social, I didn't think about it in advance. I was just too keyed on getting the book done. And it was a big deal to me. It's like, hey, I finished a 70,000 word book. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I don't see it anymore because, a few million words later, you're like, eh. So, so you don't think about it, just what it was back in the beginning. But there was a huge attitude, I would say, at keyboards at the time that, professional people do this, professional people do that. And it annoyed the crap out of me.
Hey,
And
we haven't
so
sworn yet. Holy cow.
working on it, but it annoyed the crap out of me. And so I did a rant in one of my author notes, which is still there today, and looked at it. And I've come to the conclusion is like, did you write the book? Did you work it to try to make it the best as you're capable of at the time you're trying to do it? Did you release it and has someone paid you money for it? Congratulations, you're a professional.
Yep.
Might not be a
Yep.
very successful professional, but that's true in anything. But you're
But
a professional.
you were still banging that same drum when you made 40 grand in a month.
Yeah.
And people were bagging on you, and you're like, I don't need you people. I'm going to go be professional over here and cry all the way to the bank.
Yeah, that was, well, it was, yeah, month 3, month. So 12 to 15K is when I built 20 books. And it originally was done for the fan. No, you know what? You're right. Because I did it for the fans first. And then it was like a book or two later when I'm like, you know what, people, I got this 20 books over here on Facebook. I've tried to help. I've tried to explain it. Apparently, there's a few who don't want to listen. I don't need the issues. So
Yeah.
if you want to come
Yeah.
join, and that's when you piled on and came over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So professionalism.
I wasn't afraid. And that's a great topic, professionalism, because brand. I didn't want to argue with people. I just wanted to sell books. And it wasn't like, hey, Mike, buy my book. I mean, no, it was, I want to sell books to strangers
Yes.
and have them say, I love this book, and sell it to their friends. And how do you make books better? And how do you accomplish all these things of being a professional, a well-paid professional author? Because I left a lawyer business consultant gig making a couple hundred grand a year. I mean, I was doing very, very well, but I was gone for over half my life. I traveled an awful lot to make that kind of money. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So I came home and I started writing full time. So what is this thing? Yeah, great comment, whoever that was, because I get comment from Facebook. Drama doesn't pay the bills. No, I didn't want any of that. I just wanted, hey, in this business, how do I reach more readers? And Michael Anderle described the smorgasbord. So it's like, okay, if I'm picking a smorgasbord of things to do, a newsletter or a paid promotion via Book Barbarian or Free Booksy, things like that, or AMS ads, anything along those lines, how do we sell more books? Because it's really the biggest win for my ego was bottom line. Did I make the money I wanted to make? Am I replacing my day job income while working from home? Uh, and those kinds of things that you don't need everything else is just noise. And how do you get rid of that noise? So for me, brand, retired Marine, never allowed to talk politics while in the Marine Corps because, hey, you couldn't. So I found it easy to avoid all of that stuff, religion, politics, any kind of trigger stuff, and just say, hey, let's talk about story fodder. Let's talk about this. Let's do these things. Hey, here's my dog in the Arctic. And so early on, right out of the gate, my brand was solid. Just a generic guy telling stories. People like the stories. I'd use some quotes from the reviews, and so my brand at that time
Blue
was just
collar, blue collar military guy.
the blue collar author. I mean, I worked hard. I worked a lot of hours. I still work an awful lot of hours, and write books, tell stories, and try to get better with each one, and acknowledge that, hey, maybe this book wasn't written as well as it could have been, but like you said earlier, it was the best I could do at the time. And if that time was last week and it was the best I could do, well, I'm telling you, it was the best I could do. So that's my brand. I've stayed consistent, but then as we've gotten, you were early with the let's help people out with the 20 books to 50K. I came in, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to absorb stuff and learn. And then as I learned, then because it was probably a year later, it was well into 2017. before I became an admin for 20 books to 50K, and then started sharing more of that because I was already
But you
doing
had,
the
yeah, but
conference. I
you,
was,
yeah, this conference, but I was gonna say, but you still shared because I wouldn't have known about you if
yeah,
you hadn't been sharing it and your heart wasn't evident in 2016 because we started
yeah,
collaborating, releasing, right there, December, January of 2016, 17. So you were already doing it at a level. And I remember in the admin group, I remember someone going, we should probably just have Craig come in here. He's helping all the time anyway. Good point.
yeah. Yes, I was, because as a business consultant, I was really looking at the business side of it, but I still loved to write because I was now retired. So business consulting was just hobby tracking with my spreadsheets and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I had a great growth curve, a logarithmic growth curve. It wasn't linear. It wasn't a straight line. Hey, I made $10 this month. I'm going to make $20 next month. No, I made $10 this month and 100 next month and 1,000 the month after that. So it was a nice logarithmic climb, which was way cool, and the charts were way cool because Excel.
Shark
um,
porn.
but so that's when you contact. But then of course the 2016 election was the like kiss of death. So of sales for me. So I dropped way down in November. I think everybody took a hit, but then KU came up and life came pretty good. But the giving back also
Hmm.
innately, and that's us specifically. Nobody has to give back. That's not in your job description. As a independent author, I would recommend everybody take care of your family first. First and foremost, you have to take care of yourself and your family. But if you can share, it's way cool, and you find out that the more you share, the more you help others, the more you're helping yourself. So that's a little
Can be.
power to the people grandstanding.
Yeah, let's just
Probably, yes,
yeah,
probably,
it's hashtag probably, but also if you help the wrong people, they will gladly take everything from you and they will not give back.
yeah,
So just
yeah,
be aware of that, caveat that there we still have, these author groups that, yeah, we'll publish your book for $5,000. Just run. There's no
yeah.
reason to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You,
Don't
you
ever
know,
pay somebody else to publish your book unless all you want to do is see it published and not want to make any money.
for the most part that is true. So, we heavily caveat that. We're seeing just as many sharks. They just moved it. Like was mentioned in maybe Ali or somebody, one of the latest shark things is getting your books in front of Hollywood agents is a big deal right now. Um, hey, I've talked with Hollywood people 2 or 3 times, and I remember the first time I was so shocked because their amount of money they would have given me to option my stories was what I made like in a day.
Yeah,
So it was my question to myself is, and mind you, I'm not a big Hollywood person, so it's not one of my mountains to have this. I think it'd be fun, but all I could see is the amount of effort I would have to do that would take me off of my focus of writing, which was the success I was seeing, over here to an area where the money wasn't there and it was going to be a big angst issue. And so going back to the person about the drama, that is something to try to stay out of. It is so hard because for many people, they have wanted to write for decades in their life. And they're here, they're starting to see success, and it is evident that it helps their own ego form, and not in a bad way, but self-actualization. And so you start wanting to get into it because now you know exactly what something happened because you have something behind you to prove it. And it can just take you down when it would have been better just to say, what's the next book my fans want, and move from there. So I think that is something that's plausible to think about as being an issue and back in the beginning. And
yeah.
your turn, or was that my turn? I forget.
I think that's a great point too. Know your. I think Liz Kelly describes it as know your why. We wrote books. We wanted to make money. We wanted to write better books. Hollywood, that would be cool because I'm big about multiple revenue streams. So hey, that one would be nice. But also, as a business consultant, I would always advise people make sure that you understand time versus gain, so and risk. You want to get into Hollywood now, you're committing a lot of time that you're not doing other things. Dakota Kraut in Edinburgh, he said, I make my money off producing content that my readers want to read. He said, so if I'm not producing content, then I need to do something else to make up that stream, and I don't know what that is right now. So he's like, I need the content, and maybe later I'll be able to do some other things, but right now. So understand, and this is your business with some kind of business acumen. What are you trying to accomplish? If it's a dollar figure of earnings each month, and earnings, and we can talk net, this is after your ads and your costs, then you need to go after that and stay on that until you hit that mark, and then keep hitting that mark. There are a lot of people who have gone full time, and they said, I didn't go full time until after I tripled what I was making at the day job consistently for 3 months, 6 months. Some people it was a year. And that's, so now it's like, okay, I have replaced that income. Let me ditch the day job and focus on this thing, which has scalability and growth. Because your day job, if you get promoted and get a huge promotion, I mean, how much more money is that compared to if you have a huge book hit or another huge book or a huge series? The scalability of being an entrepreneur is so much greater than if you're working for somebody else. Because you stay a year, you get a 3% pay raise. It's not a whole lot of money compared to earnings capability once you've embraced this and show that you're making the money.
Yeah. And that is a little bit. So here's one that's kind of low to mid, and that is accepting your success. The ability to realize that this success is because based on what you did. Now, if you don't understand how you did it, there's some concern there, but in effect, you can do it again. It is replicatable. I do see some people who have success in series 1, they go to series 2, it fails. Well, there's clues there. Why did you do differently between series 2 and series 1? Did you create a different emotional resonance? Where, did you go and read a whole, for example, did you write book 1 based on just seat of the pants writing? And then between series 1, successful, and series 2, did you go read a lot of books on how to write and change your tone, change how you write because you needed to be better? You were already better. You changed your tone. Figure that out. There are many stories of people who had no success series 1, series 2, and finally success 4, 5, 6, 7, or they had success over years. I was reading one of the comments from one of the romance writers today who took 8 years, but she makes about 300 grand a year now, and she doesn't put out that many books, but it took her a lot longer to get there. So time, value, family, other things have relevance in people's lives. I was talking to one person, I explained, I said, in 3 years from when I started to 3 years later, I took 2 days off. That was it. It's probably more than 3 years. And so people see my rise and my success, and they're like, they have no idea in millions of dollars were put into the growth of this company.
Yeah.
So please understand, it's all personal, it's all subjective, it's all relevant if you know the details of, don't compete with somebody else, only compete with yourself.
And the raw hours. And there's some misinformation floating around the net that we're slave drivers, and to be successful, you have to work 6,000 hours a year, and some really ridiculous things that are floating around out there. You can be successful on one book a year, but you just need to manage the aspects of that. If you write 12 books a year, publishing quickly is, quality has a quantity, quantity has a quality all its own, right? So you can maybe do a little less advertising because you're, did we lose Michael? You're
I'm back.
You're advertising to fill that gap and that void. So if you publish quickly, you have fewer people buying your books, but then that creates a certain revenue stream. If you only have one book, well, then you need that many more readers to fill that stream and fill that gap. It's you work only as hard as you're capable of without burning out, because the last thing you want to do is write 20 books a year, and then all of a sudden you stop writing books for 6 months because you physically can't. So take care of your health, take care of you first and your family, and to do that, that's balance your work effort. So it's important, because nobody's going to outwork me. Nobody's going to put in more hours. I work much harder, not much smarter. So you don't want to do that. because it's not healthy. It's not what normal people do. I'm not normal. But so I've got a great backlist now. Yes, yes,
That's
and
true.
keep writing.
But see, so here's the situation. If you if you want what somebody else has and you're not willing to do it, you have the choice of admitting that you can't. Not many people like that. Or you have the opportunity to tear them down so that there's a justification for you not being able to do it, or just listen to what we say, which is, I can only tell you how I got here.
Yeah,
Find another way to do it. That's great. But if someone says, how did you do it? I'm not going to lie and
yeah,
say I didn't work my ass off to do it. And then the fact that I value this doesn't mean another person has to,
yeah.
right? If a person has awards after awards, that's fantastic, but I don't care. It's just not my mountaintop for me to go after. And so for someone who, if they see here's something, and I'm completely thinking off the top based on your comment a while ago, but if someone says Michael Anderle, Michael Anderle, Michael Anderle, and they're like, why is he so great? And they go take a look and go, okay, so this and this and this, but he has no awards. I'm like, you're right. You're absolutely right. I have no awards. I don't care,
Yeah.
and so if that offends them because I should care about awards, I don't care, right? Nor
That's
do
not on
I.
you.
Yeah, that's not on me, and I don't expect them to care what my mountaintop is. It's irrelevant to me if they care what my mountaintop, because it's personal, and everybody's mountaintop can be personal. The reason I ask people is so that I can get a mindset shift to make sure that if I give advice, I know where they want to go, and then I'm not just using my mountaintop as the reason to make the path.
Yeah.
So there are those things.
And that's know your why. Know what you're going after. Because if
Hmm.
awards are that important to you, well, then you need to adjust how you write, and maybe some other things that I won't go into. But you just have to understand exactly what you're going for and make sure that your steps up that mountain are the right ones to get you to that goal. To me and Michael, it is bottom line. I want to sell more books. I want to sell more books today than I did yesterday, and next month the more than I did this month, and that's it. And if we have a dip, I want to know why, and then fill that gap and make even more,
I'm okay,
sales.
I'm okay with one book sale if it's $10 million. Just to clarify, I don't want to
I've got
quantity.
I should do that. I've got one hardback set. I bought 5 copies for my dad, my son, my brother, me, and I have one extra set left over of one of my other series. It's four hardbacks. It's huge, glossy pages, full color book covers in between each of the books, and
Make it $1,000.
I
Book
was
sign.
thinking I should throw a ridiculous number on that. Say all four, $2,500, because they're sitting in my garage right now, and I need to draw down my stuff, just in case we move away from the Arctic, the Great White North. Then I need to have less stuff. I have my set. My son has his set. So let's.
That reminds me of the thing we had at at Edinburgh, the 20 Books Edinburgh, where Dakota Kraut talks about using not Patreon. What was, or was it? It was Patreon. And he was talking about the different settings, and he says, and I put a ridiculous setting up there. And of course, everyone's like, what's your ridiculous setting, Dakota? And he goes, I'm going to put $1,000. And if someone pays it, I will come to their, and have dinner with them and blah, blah, blah. And I
It
whip
was
out,
only 500. It was
no,
only
no, it's
five.
1,000. No, it's
Was
a
it a
thousand.
thousand? Okay.
Yeah, it was 1,000. And so all of it, I'm like this. Where is that? Because I'm like, I know, and Judith, my wife, is sitting next to me, and we're on
What are
the
you
front row, and Dakota's up there, and he looks over and he sees me feverishly trying to find something, and Judith is, and I'm like on the page, and I'm about to click buy,
Buy.
and
And
she's like, don't do it.
no.
Yeah, no, yeah. She was like, no. And I'm like, but no. And all of a sudden, I think we kind of interrupted the speech. And I'm like, oh, but honey, I could have said, Dakota's my bitch. And that would have been worth $1,000. I need to go see if he's changed that now.
You're coming to Vegas,
You're
baby.
coming to Bay of
And you're
Vegas.
feeding me Jesse Rays.
Yes. No, steak. We would have went to Babette or whatever. But man, but she wouldn't let me.
No.
She wouldn't let me. I know.
Business decision. I mean, keeping you on your business. That wasn't
But I could have written that off,
a
right?
business.
I mean, that was consulting. I could have totally written that off.
Yeah,
And then
indeed.
it's not like Dakota and I don't enjoy time that we talk business anyway, but
You bet. You bet.
but that would have been something I could have, I mean, for years, I could have talked about that.
I made him
Uh,
come to Vegas. I owned it.
yeah, really. Oh, so I think we're on number 5. And so the issue, and this plays in exactly what we were talking about, but I remember 2016, there was a huge swell of support to get what are called your letters. And the letters in this case, New York Times, USA Today, those are the letters. And so for the what I call the freshman class, which is those of us who started indie writing right there at that end of 2015, beginning 2016, there was massive pushes by a lot of people. Now, letters were never my thing. And yet I see all of these people, we're getting our letters, we're doing this, we're spending $5,000 and we're going to have our letters. And I got caught up in it. And I didn't do it, but I got caught up in the whole, oh, I'm not going to have my letters. And it took me, it was at least weeks before I consciously realized the stress I was putting on myself for for accepting somebody else's goal I had no part in. And so I had to finally go, you know what? I'm happy for them. I'm happy for their goal and what they want to do, but that's not mine. I can be on the sideline, cheerlead their efforts and move about my life. And once I did that, I was okay. But for the time, and this has happened more than once, you get caught up, especially in the social. So you get caught up. And but yeah, that was one thing that I wish I could have gone back and said, hey, focus on your mountain.
Yeah.
Others will have mountains that are really cool and they're all going to be excited and you want to be excited too,
Hmm.
but you're not doing anything for it because it's not on your roadmap.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, overall, what are you today, Michael?
I don't know. My goal was only be top 100. As long as I'm in the top 100, I don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think you're. Let me click over here and take a look. See, because I might have a book or two that I've published with you. Let's see what you are.
Yeah, really.
Bestseller. You are number 28 overall, but it's the beginning of the month, and Trad rolls in a lot of stuff at the beginning. Amazon
Well,
Prime.
Amazon. If you ever notice, people. So just as, this is kind of an aside. On the first of the month, you're most likely going to drop your rank. Why? On the first, a week later, a week later, a week later, Amazon imprints roll out millions of emails. You'll see their people roll up to the top of especially at the top 100.
Yeah,
People like
yeah,
J.K. Rowling drop.
yeah.
Bella Forst drop. Patterson drop because you get this little 2 to 3 day pop when Amazon does the emails. Now they roll them out a week later, same people. But the challenge is that you've already hit all the low hanging fruit on the first. So on the eighth, it's maybe 70% as effective, still freaking effective. And so you get a less of a drop. And by the third one, approximately the 15th of the month, you see some annoying things. If the book is really hitting well, it'll do it. And then by the fourth one that they do, which is somewhere around the 22nd, 23rd, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really affect much of us. So you don't see it at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I sometimes I'll be at 12, 13. Sometimes I'll be at 28. Typically not over, but anyway.
But you're 28 overall, and that is a great number. It's great sales. Most of your stuff is full price at this point in time.
Hmm.
Well, Saturday you've got like 4 books that are 99 cents, but otherwise most of your stuff is full price, and you're still making that kind of ranking. So the money is good, and that is really what you're shooting for. That's what I'm shooting for, is that balance of rank for visibility, rank for Amazon promoting my stuff, as well as visibility and then the ego stroke from being ranked and making good money. So the uh, the letters and stuff like that. I looked at some of the $5,000, $10,000 packages, and like, even though I can afford that, I'm like, but that's not business aligned for me, because I see an awful lot of people with those letters way lower than me in the rankings, or not at all. And it's not a comparison, but I people say yes, the letters help, if you get a BookBub featured deal, they will lead with that. You buy USA Today best-selling author. But one thing that they've stopped doing is if you were in a box set to get your letters, they stopped using those, I believe. That it needs to be like you alone or with a single co-author. And that's a different thing. And maybe that's BookBub pushing back on the letters. So
Could be.
but it's a different mountain because those people will always be able to put on their books USA Today best-selling author, and there you are. At some point in time, that could translate to money. I haven't seen that it's any different. I really think the cover, a high quality blurb, a good advertising campaign, advertising as part of an overall marketing strategy will win pretty much every time.
So that, I think, rounds out our top 5. Or do you have one left? Or are you just kind of?
I don't know. I piggybacked off you carrying me, Michael, as you always are.
No, but see, here's an interesting thing. So let's talk about, just for a second, collaborations related to the success of your 9-book, 2,973 page, whatever it is, KENP seller. Right now, that is all you, right? Absolutely all you.
100%. 2,964 actually. So I only left 36 pages on the table, but I didn't fudge anything. Those are real pages. I didn't throw in extra stuff.
9 books. So yeah, 9 books, kind of easy to get there. My point is, because of the efforts you and I did 2 or 3 years ago, there will be people who read this book of yours for the first time and start to like Craig Martelle. Eventually, they're going to find a Craig Martelle, Michael Anderle book, and I'm going to get money from them reading your Arthurian Gambit book.
Yeah.
So there's every reason in the world for me to encourage your success on your personal side. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't anything. I mean, a lot of the times that we chose to do things wasn't because we saw the business benefit. It's merely because it was the right thing to do for people that are friends. It's like, congratulations. It's like, hey, I'm going to go do something on my own. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. If they're going to be, that would be, that's, and I was speaking to a couple of 3 people last week or the week before, and we're talking about, that the 3 of them are writing, and in general, 3 names on a cover is not really the best solution, so it's going to be a pen name. And these projects that they're working with LMBPN under this pen name, they said, well, is it okay? One of them did. Is it okay if we use this pen name? We were thinking maybe on something else. I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, really? And they're surprised. I'm like, well, why would you be surprised? And he goes, well, TradPub doesn't do that. And I don't know this to be true or not, but their comment was, if TradPub gets a pen name, that company is going to keep it. And I'm like, well, I can kind of understand their position, but here's mine. Yeah. We're going to do these projects. That pen name is going to have its success. You're going to go do these other projects, passion projects, and people are going to find that book, and guess what else they're going to read? And I'm going to be happy to do that. So there's a great business reason to do it, but the other reason is just, it's the right thing to do. Now, be careful. Just because it could be the right thing to do, if you're working with somebody who that you decide you don't want to be associated with, then the pen name's a problem. So, caveat emptor.
Yeah, well, and that's once again, you can throw that in the contract if you're worried about a pen name. And that's I'm pretty much getting away from pen names and just focusing on my own name as the brand, even though I write in multiple genres. There is some crossover because I like all those genres, and I'm not writing erotica or something that might be offensive to certain readers in my other genres. So I will keep that focus at least as it can be. Celebrating other success is one thing that Michael brought over early to 20 books to 50K. I mean, at the very outset, it was, hey, if you got a new release, share. And we did. And it was like, oh, no, don't share like that. Share what 20 books to 50K did for you. And so that's why, hey, we'll show the end.
Because one of the things that I want is like, when you hit the end, share that.
Yeah.
Share that is the end. And then, when you had a good month, let's share some of that information, because I really feel that even to this day, people don't understand how much you can accomplish and earn being an author. There's just a lot of incorrect facts out there. And so it is with, I go back, I go into 20 books from time to time and I'll read through some things. And it's from people who say, I would not have believed I could do this except the people sharing their success, encouraging. And that means that others have shared success and that person's life has been positively affected and changed because we share success. And I go back to the, issues notwithstanding, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, um, the lady author, you would know her because we just had the whole situation occur, but she put out what she made over 3 or 4 years with urban fantasy. And, I saw that and I saw a couple others and I'm like, this can, all it did is not make me it didn't change my work ethic whatsoever. What it did is aim higher,
Yeah.
aim higher. If they made 120,000 in the year, that's my minimum goal. And then I saw something, I saw something with Mark Dawson, and at the time I think it was 450. I'm like, oh, that's my minimum goal. I need to get more than that. And so, anyway, so yeah, I saw those things. I stopped sharing because it started affecting people negatively.
Yeah.
It's like I can't hit that high. And I'm like, well, that was never the intention to tell you that you couldn't accomplish something. So plenty of people are sharing numbers that everyone believes that they can hit. No need for me to.
Yeah. There's your numbers are high, but I know all the work and all the expense that goes into hitting them. So it's okay. I mean, from my perspective, I share mine because mine are more mainstream ish. With like 20 grand a month, not 100, not making 100 grand a month. Maybe at some point, I'm trying to work towards that, of course, as a figure. But it's the steps, because as a business guy, I see, yeah, here's a goal, but I see all these steps in between. It's like, okay, I need to invest this, I need to do this, I need to have a series resonate, and I'm still looking for that one big series that resonates better than all the others. I've sold hundreds of thousands of books, and I'm pretty happy with that, and so it changed my perspective on where my mountain is. And I'll cheer somebody making 100 grand a month, and they're like, "Oh man, but Craig, you showed me the way." It's like, dude, you're making 5 times as much as I did this month, but it's giving people hope. And
Yes.
I'm not envious of, and that's, get that envy shit under control, because that
Yeah.
is going to destroy you, and tearing anybody else down never helps you. We talked earlier about brand. If your brand is tearing other people down, guess what? That's going to stick with you about forever. So don't ever do that. We delete posts with name calling and stupid crap in 20 books very quickly. So you don't see that. You don't see that somebody's trying to tear you down. We call it the drama free zone, because nobody ever wins when you're attacking people. And I know David Gaughran came out with the black hat, white hat blog post, and I agree completely. We should always try to lift up the white hats, people who are doing everything above board ethically in order to make more money in this business, not the folks who are the book stuffers and those folks who Amazon, even though they may take time, eventually kind of weed out, or the readers weed them out by complaining. It's not what we support. 20 books of 50K is ethically making more money. So how do you do that? You look at the 20 book pack, the first one, urban fantasy. Curators working on those. The fantasy anthology that we're going to put together that publishes in February. Look for those posts. And those are trying to give people a little more visibility. Those folks who, like Michael had alluded to earlier, I love to write. I write well because my readers, once I get readers into the book, they're happy with it. But how do we make this leap? I'm missing that one, the missing link, as it may be. So Darwin would be happy. We're talking about a missing link. Anyway, maybe it was the dude who did Africa. Anyway, a
Toto?
different dude. What's that?
Toto?
Down the reins. Leakey,
Oh,
Professor Leakey.
yeah, completely different.
Completely different archaeologist than Toto. But I don't even remember where I was, because now you've
That's okay.
lost me, because we
Well,
went to
we're going to
missing.
segue. we're going to
Missing
segue
link.
into,
So,
yes.
so 20 books trying to help celebrate success. We want to see more and more people. Not everybody's going to make it. I mean, this is a bell curve existence, but it's, can you make more than you did last month? Is your goal to make a car payment? What do you need to do? What are those steps? And this is 20 books. All of that stuff is available to help you improve your chances at making a little bit more money. And that's it's keep your goals realistic, because I'm a big fan of SMART goals. The R for realistic. So once again, I'm rambling. So Michael, you're up.
So we're going to segue a little bit into what do we still find challenging now? And where we're at, there are different levels of challenge for me, because are we talking about my publishing hat challenge? Are we talking about my running a business challenge? Are we talking about my beats challenge with new stories, new characters, new creations? Which challenge are we talking about? But this morning I happened to be on the phone in a Zoom call with Rami, the gentleman that was silly enough to say he would put the Edinburgh conference together, R.E. Vance. And so I jet lagged, so I couldn't sleep. So I got on and he was on. So we went ahead and jumped on a Zoom call because we had some clarification issues. But he was talking with Brandon Ellis a little while back. And Rami was going through a stage where he had some good success with his release, and then it kind of went down with the re-release. But then he put his book set, an anthology or book bundle together, and he saw a lot of really good success for the last 4 or 5 months. And he was talking a little bit and sharing about his mentality of what am I going to do, because it can't seem true. So if you're used to making $1,000, and now let's say you're making $15,000 a month, that kind of income is a little awe-inspiring, because you could buy a car with 1 month check, right? And so and I was trying to give him some thoughts on this, but he said that Brandon told him that to trade appreciation for expectation in order to kind of move forward and handle the new reality, which is where I was going, is like, look, the thing that can hurt you is if you don't accept this new reality, then you're going to sabotage yourself. And the reason I suggest that is there were studies done with people who had won millions of dollars from the lottery, for example. And the greater percentage of them are back where they were a few years later. And the reason for that is because they can't comprehend their new reality and they're not comfortable with it. And so the mind will sabotage you and get you to do whatever stupid things it needs to do for you to become comfortable again. And part of the reason of the discomfort could be close friends that you've known for 20 years are calling you names. You don't like that, or you don't feel comfortable because you're having to deal with, $700,000 or whatever the answer is. But the comment I was making is, look, you've got to come into this new reality, because if not, how are you going to attain the level past that, twice that, if you don't? And so he made the comment, Brandon had mentioned, trade appreciation for expectation, and focus on that so that it doesn't become something that harms you or hampers you in any way.
I just look at it as different plateaus on the mountain of success. When you reach a new plateau, make that your new baseline. Here's what I did to reach here. So if 15 grand a month is a number, or 5,000 books in a month, well, what do you need to do to maintain that? And then what's that next level? And one thing you did, which I asked about earlier, was taking, you are almost exclusive to Kindle, but you took one series wide, made it cheap, 99 cents a book, in order to try to draw new readers into your universe.
Yeah, that was the zoo. And there's a couple of different reasons. And part of it was in preparation for what we're doing right now. And I spoke about it at 20 Books last year in Vegas, and that is the Opus X project. And the Opus X project has been on the boards for well over a year and a half, and we've been working toward it. So I didn't know it. But since we had always been Amazon specific, we LMBPN, because there's many of us working here, we didn't understand how to get stuff on Kobo that well. We didn't know how to get stuff on Apple. And so we didn't do it with that one. We actually went through Draft to Digital at that time to get it onto Apple. And so we did this, and we got a little bit of sales. That was fine, but it was kind of also putting our foot into the water to go, what's this going to take? What's it going to look like? What are the challenges? And unfortunately, I don't think we tried as hard as we could have. We got kind of stuck in some of the local things. So we've recently pulled that one back. But in the process, when we pulled the zoo stuff back, because that goal, that universe has been designed to be international. The goal is that I want international writers in the zoo. And so to do that, we're looking at wide, so on and so forth. So that's its own white paper, if you will. But Opus X is coming November 1st. Notice is about 4 years after the release of Bethany Ann and right before 20 Books Vegas, where I'll be able to talk a little bit about it. But the challenges, there are many challenges going wide, not the least of which is if you want to keep all of the money, you have to open up in all of these different locations, or you have to either go through someone like Draft to Digital, which they take a percentage of the common, or you have to go through Publish Drive, who's going to take a direct dollar amount. And both of them have their caveats and pluses and minuses. And so we did get into Apple, and that was a challenge because then you have to answer all these other questions I never had to answer on Amazon necessarily. And then you wait. Amazon is like, ding, would you like to load a book? How about now? Apple doesn't do that. So we thought, because we were Amazon exclusive, we didn't know any better, that it would be the same amount of time. It was not. So we kind of missed a few dates of goals that we were looking for trying to do that. So underneath, one of the challenges we still have, and that is going wide. We're doing it. We have what we call one story, 12 books, 18 months. So we're going to have one really long effort to do this. And for us, a series of this means that we're going to probably lose $150,000 of guaranteed income in order to try this. So not small.
Not something to sniff at. The but the wide effort overall, once again, revenue stream and hedging your bet against any issues that might come up, a drop in KU rate or anything. How do you still keep a business alive and happening? So a good effort. Wish you luck. Opus X looks like a great project. You've got some top-notch artists and folks on board with that. So
it's a passion project.
Well, and the zoo was also what you fell under discoverability. It's folks who are out there who usually only read in Kobo, but if they really like this series, get the Kindle app for your phone and buy on Amazon. Some people are adamantly opposed to buying on Amazon, and we may never reach them, but we may. And what will it take to bring them on board? Because we're not moving everything wide, not right now anyway. So
no, and I wouldn't. There's
No.
just there's no really good tactical reason and strategy I can think of to go wide with everything that for us, just for LMBPN, there's really no real good reason to do that. So we won't. One of the issues I'm having a problem with is I need to say yes a little less. So not yes to the dress, but say yes a little less. And
as a publisher,
yes. No. Say it a little less. No, just there are so many opportunities when you think about it. So we talked about Hollywood. Generally speaking, I don't have a problem telling Hollywood no. They need to come up with something that's going to cause me to turn my head. And since we are so successful, that's a lot of money. And Hollywood rarely plays with the kind of money that would cause me to turn my head. Rarely.
Yeah.
So, if they might, without being, I don't know what without being egotistical, Hollywood, if they drop 25 large, right? Yeah, they drop 25 large. Well, I'm going to be like, and with your point, and that causes them to just not understand. And so I don't know where to go with that. I don't.
It's you guys are so diametrically opposed on influential money because a lot of they license the rights to your story for a year. A lot of those
at $3,000.
Those are I was going to say those are like $1 to $3,000. It's get the hell out of here. Don't talk to me about real money.
Yes, but I'm not a Hollywood person.
Yeah.
If you're a Hollywood person, I've talked to a few people who are making $100,000 a month or getting there, and they would be ecstatic because they love Hollywood. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. It's just not my gig.
Yeah.
There's no judgment either way on that. So for me, a little bit less yes in some of the different projects that we're doing. You and I have a project with one other person that we're looking at that's going to be, I don't even want to go too much into it because I believe there's a lot of opportunity here. And I think I might have cracked a way to get that opportunity, but it requires a few last things getting into place. We haven't said yes. We haven't gone full tilt because we know a few things have to get in place and we need to get some other projects closed to be able to focus on it. So
Yeah.
that is a less yes. Um, in the beginning, I said yes to too many projects. And if you go from just I'm writing to I'm now taking on collaborators or I'm now going to write the beats and I'm going to outsource the other part of it, all of that takes time, effort, and money. And almost by and large, almost everyone I've spoken to that expands too rapidly and they outgrow their income, especially since you have a 2 month lag time with Amazon on your income. So they go whole hog. They have 1 month, which is fantastic. They believe that that's the way to do it. And so they do it or double it in the next month and then maybe keep it the same in the third month, but they never receive that money for 2, 3, 4 months down the line. So,
Yeah.
and then of course, it's hell for 2 months as you slow down everything again, your momentum. And so I suggest that you say yes a little bit less, understand which ones you're doing, and realize when is that money coming in. So,
Oh, I'm with you on that. I mean, I published 30 books in the first 6 months of 2019, and it was an overwhelming amount of effort, as well as writing my own. And I will tell you that that negatively impacted my own sales in such a way that I have drawn back on those releases. June and July sucked royally for royalties, and then come August, hey, I made way more in August than I did in the previous months of the year, based on uh, the book releases. I had a book release that was my own book, and I had a good sale, the box set, and I had some other stuff because I had managed it like 2 or 3 months earlier in order to put together the right promotions to help it get sticky at Amazon, as well as funnel the right advertising at it. That then now a book, even though it's a box set of 9 books, is making a huge amount of money for me. Just like Kevin McLaughlin shared what he earned off the Sartori series when he repackaged it, rewrote a few of the books, and then pushed the box set. I mean, there's a lot of money to be had in your IP with a proper repackaging. So, but I couldn't do that when I was publishing a book a week because I had no time. I was reading and editing, and that was taking a lot of my own creative life. So when I stopped hitting those and started focusing, my last book that I wrote myself was after the process of reading and editing other people's stuff. And a lot of people said it was my best book ever. I really enjoyed writing it. It went well. Fratricide, space alert, right? um, that one, it just rolled. It went well. So you refill that creative well, and you remove some of the burdens hanging on your shoulders, and all of a sudden life looks pretty good. And August made more money than actually I made more money with just the published books than I did any other month of the year. And I was publishing a book a week. So you've got to know where your strength and your wheelhouse is. And so I tried that. Okay, not my speed. The Michael Anderle model of co-authoring and having a good quantity of high quality books. These were all run through the process. They had developmental editing, they had proofreading, they had copy editing, they had some had better covers than others, and since have been recovered, so they have great covers now. Still, it at a huge expense in May and June, but they all have really great covers now. It's it wasn't my thing. I can handle the business side of it, but I really like writing, and so that's what I want to do, a certain amount every day. Write. I want to release my own books with more intentionality, using my own release strategies as the model. I want hard launches, not soft launches, because a soft launch of a book a week, I was cannibalizing my own sales with too much. And so understand your business. I understand my business. I understand my strengths. And I really, really enjoy the 20 Books Vegas conference. So the conference is on track, way on track. Things are looking really good. I am going to have to run down there in September. I'll see Michael, Mike Bray, Richard Fox, Jeff Cheney,
Not only not
and
only are
then
you going to see me, but you've already had me as like you're my chauffeur. I guess I'm his chauffeur.
yeah, I said, do I need to rent a car or can you drive? Because I won't know where I'm going, and I'm just a hick from Alaska, and it's Alaska, and it's Las Vegas,
And by this
and
time, I'm
people
like, just fuck it. I will
people will
drive you,
take me
Craig.
for a ride, and then you'll feel bad, and then
I will feel bad. I will feel bad unless you're making me feel bad.
unless I tell you that you should feel bad for
Yes,
making me feel
exactly.
bad. So
Hey,
yeah, me and Mike will be tooling around Vegas,
we put you up in the Aria, which is, just 100 yards that way.
and the Aria is
I,
really really nice.
I'm like, fucker.
And I think Judith even arranged transportation from the airport to the hotel. So
Yeah, which you reminded me because my wife will do some of these things for some people that we bring in. He goes, yeah, or she might actually be there when I arrive to make sure that I get through the service. I'm like, yeah, I'm over here going, where's my wife? And she's over there making sure you're getting in okay. So this is something's wrong here.
yes, indeed, indeed. And actually, I'll take care of you in Adelaide. That's my payback.
You do that,
But
yes.
but so Vegas, I'm coming down there just to make sure because we got to do a final walk through the hotel and make sure because there's so many other details, little things like is the bar going to be set up on time at the pre-register the early registration? Is that room going to be set up? Are we going to have some extra outlets there because that's Independence Hall, which is Silver City on the map?
Is
Is
TGI Fridays going to have enough freaking waiters and waitresses?
and if the Rams Head Bar, since we're going to have over 500 of the rooms in the hotel, it's okay if we make noise for ourselves. So can we keep the Rams Head Bar open until later than 11 p.m.,
Yeah.
please? Things like that. And that's so trying to make sure that all of this is available. And actually, Michael, being Michael, for his
Later.
talk, instead of Silver City, he asked, hey, I want to get the theater. I want to stand and
No,
I want to
hold
have
on.
sort of popcorn. I want
Oh, okay, so it's something. Well, this is kind of right, but you and I were talking about it last week, and I mentioned Mike Bray, who Mike Bray has relationships and knowledge of people that are over there. He apparently listened to it, and so when he and I were having dinner at Ping Pang Pong,
of course you
yeah,
did.
if you want to know about a few of the restaurants that we talk about on these things, Ping Pang Pong is in the Orleans. It's actually on the west side of the 15, so it's a good 30 minutes away from Samstown. But if you're on the Strip, it's like 5, maybe
Yeah,
10 minutes away, and it goes through the Orleans, which is another Sam's property, I believe,
it
and
is.
a Boyd property. But amazing Chinese food. We've been to China. I've been to China a couple of times, 2 to 6 times. We were eating there just a couple of weeks ago, and I can tell you, Ping Pang Pong is still, in my opinion, superior. So anyway, go there. It's a great time. But yeah, Mike said that he felt it could be done as well. And you and I talked, and you said, hey, you'd look at seeing getting a different room because there were enough people that would be crowding the one that would be available at 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I really want to see if I can get a theater because if I can, then I want to ask, well, how much would it cost just to say anybody who comes in, they can grab, small popcorn and a drink, and LMBPN would pay for it or something.
Yeah.
What could we do that? So I don't know if it can be done, but I think it'd be freaking hilarious if we could. And we'll just
We'll
get a
ask.
little, yeah.
We will ask. And if not, we'll try to get one of the bigger rooms opened up so the 170 people that are registered for Michael's talk. And if you've been to
I,
Silver City, a good 30 people will fit in there comfortably. 170 may be pushing it.
I didn't. I mean, when you and I talked about this, and you
Yeah.
said, "Hey, well, I've got so many people," I'm like, "Hey, I'm okay not talking. It's no big deal." But maybe what we'll do is I'll go at like 10 o'clock at night, where only the people who are up and really wish to have a conversation, because a lot of times I'll see people in London or Adelaide or
Yeah.
Bali. I've seen them or Edinburgh, and they're like, "I didn't want to get around you. You had people around you," and I'm like, what can I do? I'm like, well, maybe we can do this where I'll just answer questions. And
Yeah.
he's like, come here, listen to people, ask your own. I'm happy to do it. But we do need to recognize that a lot of authors are introverted And if they see somebody around me, that'll be enough of an excuse not to come say hi.
Yeah.
And so that's why we did it.
And then it turned into everybody wants
Nah, it's
a, a,
not that.
a good chunk, but just listening and being there. Don't be dissuaded by the crowd. And the great thing about the theater is you can turn the lights down a little bit, so it's a little darker, which makes it okay for everybody being there.
Yeah.
But then asking questions and just listening to Michael talk will be motivating. You'll feel the hope, you'll feel the love,
You can do it.
and you'll enjoy your popcorn and small drink, unless Michael goes hog wild and gets you a medium.
It depends. Do they sell Coke?
I, I don't know, man.
I
But
might
the
go in there and go, sir, you can't get a Coke unless you have a ticket. Here's the price for a ticket, which is a show. Don't give a fuck. Just
Yeah,
let me go in and go get a Coke.
let me get a Coke and throw me some popcorn while you're at it.
Yeah, there you
Butter,
go.
please. The and the morning session as well, just to chat and talk. I mean, I'm me, the blue collar author. I don't think I'm special in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I've got responsibilities. I think we're all equal. Some of us just have different jobs than others. And for 20 Books Vegas, my job is to make sure the show runs well. And I know by 10 p.m. and I was invited to a dinner at 8 p.m. And I'm like, I can't do a dinner on the strip at 8 p.m. I know I'll be tired. I did that last year, and I was almost dead. I was almost dead for the next day, and I can't do that to you guys. You guys deserve the best I can give you in order to make sure that your experience is optimal for 20 Books Vegas. 1,000 people this year, 1,500 next year. It's going to be huge. I was talking with Mark Dawson this morning about the SPS, the self-publishing show in London, and just the quality of people he's bringing. So, of course, I pimped him about, hey, man, can a couple of these people come on over to Vegas in 2020? His show is in March, November. Hopefully we can
Well,
make things happen.
we we ganged up on Mark. Mark was in Bali, right? He and his Lucy had come, and so it was like the second to the last day of Bali, and we caught up with Mark in the executive lounge and pet and talked to him because we had done London, we had Edinburgh, but we're like, we'd really like someone over here on this side of the coast. Now, who has a big enough group on this side of the coast that could possibly put something together that we could pimp?
Yeah.
We'd be happy to pimp. Who could that be? Mark. Who in the world?
Has influence in the UK.
I mean, and is like this with, biggest bookseller in the world. Who might that be? That
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Mark's underselling us 30 pounds, but Amazon is the primary sponsor. So
You
it's
take yeah. Good, by the way. I'm happy that Amazon is getting involved. We were blessed to have one of their individuals check us out last year, and we couldn't really announce that. We
yeah,
wanted to.
yeah. We really wanted to, but no, we couldn't. Yeah,
Yeah, and now this year they have agreed to bring many people.
many people.
Um, and the purpose is, of course, your career, whether you choose to be exclusive with Amazon or wide with everybody, whatever it is, we want those representatives there so you can talk to them. So please do. And
Yes.
then you can take some of your answers and maybe tell another two people. This is what they told me.
Yeah.
Whoever it is.
The and Google Play, Google Books is coming and bringing a group. They signed up, I think, 3 people yesterday. They're intend to bring 6 people to
Nice.
answer your questions and be available. It's about being available. So the show, I'm actually going to send a note back to Apple because Apple's formal presence, they said yes, and then they said, well, we can't. We've got some other things going on.
Hmm.
But still, one person may pull like what Amazon did last year, just send one person kind of undercover. And so I will contact them and see if we can, if a representative can come to prove that it's worth their while to come and have a presence, because we want all of the major distributors. Barnes and Noble is a one nut too tough to crack. Even the Barnes and Noble local in Vegas didn't want to fucking come. Couldn't send a manager to come and say hi for an hour, fuckers. But
Yeah, okay, but they're high. They're now under new ownership. Waterstones. Come on, settle
yeah,
it down.
I just don't like getting jerked around. The there's opportunity. There's opportunity, and we'd like to have Barnes and Noble there as well, of course. And it just for you guys, so people coming to the show have more opportunity to talk with everybody you want to talk to. Why is wide less than if you're all in with Amazon? Well, Amazon owns a certain part of the market, but what is why? What are they doing to grab some of that market share back? And what is the opportunity? Look at audiobooks. Amazon does not own the majority of the audiobook market. That is spread out. So maybe wide in audio is where you want to go, and that's where we've gone. We've put a lot more books wide as opposed to ACX recently.
Yeah, audio. Find a Way. Are they coming?
Yes, Find a Way's coming. 2 people.
Okay.
With Will, of course.
Good. And he, by the way, if you're listening to this, Will, Find a Way. If you want to bring more of your really cool like big mugs, those igloo style mugs, I'm good. I'm in Vegas. You case, if you want to bring a case, I'm willing to store. So over the years, I can always get a new one and have like 4 Find a Way. I mean, so I carried this thing from like, where did he give it to us? London, was it? I don't remember where he gave us the Find a Way.
It was the Nebulas in Pittsburgh.
Okay. So it is one of my favorite by far. So I will pimp the hell out of a Find a Way of these mugs that they have. Yes. Just saying.
I tell you what, for Imprint, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars with For Imprint getting swag for the conference, and they send me everything. They send their high speed stuff. So I got like a Yeti mug. It's an actual Yeti, but it's got For Imprint on it.
Yeah.
That is way cool. No, you'll never see that.
Oh, hold on. Let me just see.
But other things like Moleskine notebooks, they've sent me a bunch of different ones that have For Imprint debossed. I guess that's when you stamp into it. It's debossed, not embossed. Those kinds of things. And I'm bringing all that extra, not the Yeti, unfortunately, but all the extras to Vegas, and we'll put them on a table for anybody to grab. Grab those, grab the notebooks, grab the myriad of pens. They love sending pens. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeti. These things are amazing, and Find a Way had them. And I'm like, dude. And we saw him at New York Book Expo. And I'm like, my favorite by far. This thing is awesome.
That's a really, the one For Imprint sent, really, really nice piece of gear. So that, and I wanted to get something special for the some other folks, and I may still for some of the main volunteers, because there's so much good stuff that we can throw a 20 Books logo on that that we can get. We got debossed red Moleskine notebook covers for Vegas. So here are the 3 things, and we're talking about Vegas.
I know. Sorry.
Vegas occupies so much of my mind and my time. Like this morning, did a bunch of stuff. Finally got the reservations issue sorted out for reservations. So now I don't have to go through one by one. I can just send an email to the head of Boyd Gaming Reservations. Nice. That's who I get to deal with now. Nice. So it makes everything. Yesterday, over the past week, I had some serious issues trying to get recover reservations from people who are no longer able to come for rooms at the room rate, like either $42 or $49. And so after the second complaint, because the first one they said, "Oh, it's fixed, call," and so I did, and it wasn't fixed. And so then they apologized profusely, and now I get to deal directly with the head of reservations. And I sent an email with 4 reservation numbers, and an hour later, she sends me an email back. Here you go, everything's taken care of. So I much prefer that now. It's Vegas, and money talks. And when you're riding with Michael in his Beamer, that talks too.
Yeah, it's because Mercedes wouldn't cut me a deal. So I'm like, screw this. I'll go to, well, actually, my wife said, screw this. He'll go to BMW. And the guy was snooty, and thought that we'd be back, and we weren't, because BMW had an amazing deal, and they got me the price I wanted. So there you go. Future proof was something else I was going to mention. Have playtime. One of the things I was telling Rami is, at the time that I was seeing my success in that 2016, in July, it was time, my lease was up. My lease was like $580 or something for a big SUV. And I ended up getting a really nice Mercedes for like an extra $400, $450 a month, which I easily was able to do with my increase in income. But partly I realized that, you know what, I don't want to go to the grave with every single penny that I make in the bank. I want to enjoy some of my income as I do it now, and I do. I get to drive much nicer cars, which I needed to drive a car anyway, but it makes it pleasurable to be able to drive around.
Yeah.
So that's one of the playtime things I give myself. I don't have a lot now. I'm going to get to play with some tech today because I came from the tech field. So I do love, so I have the best computer laptop I want, because I use it all the time. It's what my company runs on. So when I get to go into Apple, like I did at the end of last year, and I'm like, I'd like a MacBook Pro, max it out. And they're like, oh, okay, sir. How much RAM would you like? Well, the maximum is 32 gig, so I want 32 gig. Okay, okay, okay. Yes, you meant max it out. I did. How much hard drive do you want? I'm like, you're not understanding this, are you? I want the 4 terabyte SSD, which is the one that causes it to jump massively. And so he's like, oh, oh. I'm like, yeah. Which part of just move the dial all the way to the end? That's what I want. And so that's one of the things that I get. Do I need a 4 terabyte SSD? Possibly not.
Probably
I
not.
do. Yeah, probably not. But I mess with videos, so it's within the realm of possibility. Perhaps not a huge possibility, but it's within the realm. But that's part of playtime for me. That's me giving back myself for working what I do, so that
Yeah.
while I'm working, I'm enjoying myself. I'm in as good a chair as I want. It's not a very expensive chair. Others have more expensive chairs. I probably should pay more attention to it. I just don't, you know. But I get to play with what I want.
Yeah. That kind of those kind of breaks, like scheduled vacations, things where you go away and go to the beach. I mean, you whip down to Cabo on occasion and things like that. It's really, really important, especially as you're making more and more money. You think, geez, if I just work a few more days, do this, get one more project, and the allure. This is once again goes back to real goals. The allure will lose its luster if you burn out, if you
Yeah.
can't, if you then put yourself in a position where you cannot take time off. It's you've got to have that play time. For me personally, it's doing stuff around my house. I all the all of the royalties from 1 month. I went out and bought a new truck. New, it was 2 years old, 21,000 miles on it. It's got 31,000 on it now. 2 years later, 3 years later. But I bought that off my royalties, and it's a big truck. It's not super snazzy. It's not
But it's
an
what you
HD dually.
wanted.
It was exactly what I wanted, and it really, really helps me do what I need to do around my house. Like I have to have water trucked in, but now I can do it myself instead of paying somebody else to truck water in. And so I put my water tank on. I've got a setup where a pallet is on some stands, and I slide it in, slide it out. I can do everything myself, and I get to use my super cool ratchet tie downs to hold it in place and stuff like that. Now you think about that, and my dog. I have a dog, which I can't imagine living in the cave in the sky where I couldn't really have a dog, and 100 and some degrees every day where it's too hot on the dog's paws. Like here, that's not an issue. It's 50 degrees is too hot for her because she's acclimated to Alaska. But going out, I walk 3 to 4 miles every single day. I spend 2 hours a day outside with my dog. So that's critical for me for thinking. And my dog gets mad if I'm on my phone. So that's her time. I don't play on my phone. I don't answer emails. I blow off Michael's phone calls while I'm
And
out
he
there.
does. He's not joking.
Hey, I was out with Phyllis. Sorry, couldn't talk.
Well,
Um,
now I know that you have your phone, so I really know it's not you couldn't talk, you wouldn't talk.
wouldn't talk. That's a but things like that. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of the stuff you're doing. And we've obviously gone too long. We had 125 viewers 5 minutes ago, and we have 61 now. So they let us know when we degenerate to talking about our butts. So I think we're about good on this today's episode of CNM.
Talk to you later.
Hey, thank you everybody for listening in. Hopefully you dug some nuggets out of that. It was insane. I mean, we rambled all over the place, but we did talk about a lot of stuff that's important in your business to hopefully you can stuff to think about for later. I personally think my back matter one, as it's looming over my head, I need to go fix my back matter from stuff I published 3 years ago.
That's
That
why I think
that
you're Chuck Tingle. I'm just saying.
well, I don't even know where those files are anymore. I mean, I've changed computers twice, and I have them, but I think the search for the right file will be probably the most significant effort I put in, rather than the actual upload of the file, which KDP, I mean, a minute, 2 minutes to just change a new file. But finding the right file, now that is the challenge. All right,
You should
everybody have
have
a
it,
good one.
Stephen. Bye, folks.